Welcome to Gulf Coast Financial with John Kuykendall, the CEO and founder of Gulf Coast Financial Services. This program is designed to assist you in bettering your retirement experience through expert and caring financial support. John has degrees from the University of Florida, Louisiana State University, and the Advanced Management Program at Harvard University. He spent 20 years in banking before establishing Gulf Coast Financial Services. John is a certified Kingdom advisor, serving clients with biblical principles and worldviews, and is an active member of the National Association of Christian Financial Consultants. John is also a member of many local charity boards. And now, John Kuykendall presents Gulf Coast Financial.
And welcome into the program. This is Gulf Coast Financial, brought to you by the team at Gulf Coast Financial Services, named Best of the Best in Financial Services by the Lake City Reporter. Founder CEO John Kuykendall with us, as always, as your resource, ladies and gentlemen, for a common sense approach to planning for your financial future to achieve your important financial goals. John, welcome back in.
Thank you, Peter, and I'm real happy to be here. You know, Peter, that we won that Lake City Financial Advisor 5 years in a row.
Okay.
And so we're really proud of that. Hoping to get a sixth one real soon, but we hope the voters out there will vote us in. So we're real excited to have that. We've won it every year since they started that classification.
All right. So an annual thing, but nothing new to you there. You kind of old hand that you are best of the best in the Lake City area for financial services. Wonderful. Well, I mean, definitely tip of the hat. Good accolades.
Thank you. We're real proud of that. And also having been the small business of the year for the Chamber of Commerce 2 years in a row, or 2 times. It's the only business I know that's won it twice. Well, there's a dental office in town that did. But we're real excited about that and real happy to have those awards. It just shows you that people appreciate what we do, and that makes us just want to do more.
Well, absolutely. And as a reminder to the savers and investors around Lake City, and even with an office of convenience all throughout the Gainesville area as well, you are that resource there to serve, help and assist, address financial issues, get those plans put together, or review and evaluate to make sure people are on track. And if you've got a question, if you would like that kind of review of your planning, ladies and gentlemen, making sure that you are being efficient with your money, leveraging every opportunity that you have, pick up the phone and give Gulf Coast Financial Services a call, 386-755-9018. That's 386-755-9018. Or visit online. Great website, gulfcoastfinancial.net. Lots of resources, tools, calculators, reports available.
Great site.
It is. It absolutely is. gulfcoastfinancial.net. You could literally get lost in the information in there or find exactly what you're looking for, answers to financial questions, descriptions of strategies, simple to complex. But John, I know another feature there that I think is pretty unique to Gulf Coast Financial Services is that you have a generational business. You've got several generations working there in the firm and really are creating a bit of your own legacy there within Gulf Coast Financial Services.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about that. My son Brent has been working with me for over 25 years, and now, you know, his son Blake has been with us for 5 years. I can't believe that. We just talked about that the other day. I can't believe it's been that long. Seems like just yesterday he came to work for us, and we were real excited. So, yeah, our legacy here, my legacy, I hope, will be strong many years after I'm gone, and they'll still provide the same kind of service. And, you know, Peter, because of this new norm, you kind of got to say we're worldwide now.
Yeah.
Because we can do meetings anywhere. We've got the technology and the training to hold meetings with anybody, anywhere in the world. And we're excited about that, the new technology. And it'll be interesting to see what the new norm is.
Yeah, indeed. But we know that we are rapidly changing and evolving. And John, I think that a lot of times when people are meeting and discussing their plans with their financial advisor or whoever is their source for advice and guidance, the question comes up is, what is your contingency plan? What is your legacy plan? And I like the fact that if that question was turned around, to Gulf Coast Financial Services, you've got an answer for that. Whereas for a lot of people, if something happened to their advisor, that's sort of the end of the story. They're thrown back in to the mix, to the wolves a little bit, and don't really know what would happen, who their relationship would be with. That is something that has been addressed there at Gulf Coast Financial Services. And I kick off the program mentioning that because we are going to be talking about legacy on today's program. And everybody, John, is going to leave one, whether financial or emotional, whether positive or negative. Everybody's got a legacy, and we probably want to plan to leave a positive one on both sides of that.
Well, most people, especially the older generation, they want to leave a legacy of some money to their grandkids and to their kids. It's just natural. But the problem we're having is that ever since the Great Depression in 2008, the recession, we have not been able to leave that much behind because we haven't been able to make up the losses. The majority of the people haven't been able to make up the losses that we had during that period of time.
Right.
So that leaving that money has been less and less, and it's now, while they would like to, they haven't been able to plan it. But Peter, you got to take a short-term approach to planning before you take the long-term approach. And one of the problems is we talked on the show, is people just don't plan. They plan to go into retirement. They think they're going to have enough money, so they're going to spend as they go. And what happens is that most of the time they overspend in the early years and they have to cut back in the later years. And we've worked with couple after couple who've done that. And we've counseled with them and tried to get them on the right path. But then look at the number of people that you talk to, even in your practice, that don't have the standard estate documents, the power of attorney, the health surrogate form, the living will. They don't have those. And so when they die, they're going to leave a legacy of having to probate their estate for their heirs to get it, which is just going to mean that's that much less. But, we can plan, we can do some things that will pass on money tax-free, pass on money quicker. With the new Secure Act, we have to worry about that 10 years and how we're going to pay for the taxes, because if it's not an inherited IRA to a spouse, then the subsequent heir has to take it over 10 years. That's going to put a tremendous burden on a lot of people. So there's a lot of planning that needs to go in place, Peter, but people just procrastinate. And I guess, especially boomers, we have this mentality that we're going to live forever. And as we get older, we realize that's really not true.
Well, so far you have, right?
Yeah.
Everyone
right.
listening, so far we have.
We've lived through a lot of stuff, the flower children and all that, and the drugs and the hippies and the music and, driving our parents crazy with
not your first round of protests and civil unrest here going on. Yeah.
We've been there and done that,
Yep.
So we need to now sit back and start getting our estates ready, getting our estate planning, and that's just part of the practice. That's part of the whole plan that we put together here.
Yeah.
We like to look at income planning, tax planning, Social Security planning, long-term care planning, and we like to look at how we're going to pass our estate. Yeah. I was just talking to a client before the show. He recently got married, and we're making some changes to his estate. And I asked him, have we worked out how we're going to pass the estate and how the money's going? And he said, John, I knew you were going to ask me that. I've already met with my attorney. I should have the documents for you in a week or two for you to review. That's what we like to have happen, Peter.
Absolutely. Well, if I can maybe summarize or paraphrase a bit of that, John, in order to have a good plan, a solid plan for leaving a positive legacy, we first and foremost have to plan for ourselves to make sure that we can be self-sufficient. Kind of first things first is making sure that we've got a plan, that we never become dependent, and then only after that can we really talk about leaving that legacy. But when we do, many different aspects need to be coordinated there, it sounds like.
Oh yeah. I mean, every time that we get a new act, the Secure Act or whatever, it's going to take a toll on how we plan, and we have to be proactive. And so, as you know, we've done this year. We've met with all of our clients. We've gone over the Secure Act, which took place in January, and we've explained to them how that money's going to pass if there was a cash legacy to their estate, and make sure that they wanted to do what they can do. In light of that, we're also doing some Roth conversion planning because we want to get money out of that tax-free or tax-deferred account, put it into the tax-free account, so that we will have money if we leave a legacy to pay the taxes. After we talk about this every show, I think, but because of the heavy debt load, and now because of all the stimulus money that's been put into place, there is no way that taxes are going to be able to stay, or interest rates stay as low as they've stayed for the period of time. We have to go up. And while we know that this bill sunsets in the mid-20s, and we're going to have a reset on taxes, a new administration in September can change that now.
Yeah.
So we've got to be proactive while we have a chance to be proactive.
John, do you have a discussion with clients about balancing needs and desires during their own lifetime with the desire to leave something behind, and how to strike an appropriate balance there? Maybe not too much emphasis on one side, or too much earmarking specifically to leave money behind and then doing without, so that they can live an enjoyable, fulfilled life as well?
No, what we like to do is, I like to tell my clients that what we want to do is we want to maximize their accounts and their planning and everything we do during their years. I want them to be able to do everything they want to do, and still hopefully be able to leave a legacy. But as I tell them, if we get to the road, to the final road, and you've passed away and we have $1 left, that's fine, because you've lived the life you wanted to, and you've done some things during that time. You've done some things for your family, and so it's for you to enjoy.
Yeah.
And the legacy is that you led a good life. You led the kind of life you wanted, and you had provided the money that you needed to do those things. We'd all like to leave money to our kids and to our grandkids, but if we can't, it's not the end of the road. It's not, it's not a huge disappointment. It's just what happened because of life.
Well, I don't think it's a selfish sentiment at all to want to spend your money during your lifetime. And in fact,
No.
I may have mentioned this on the program before, but my dad had a conversation with me some time ago. He said that he planned on bouncing his last check, or not really leaving anything behind. And I said that was fine, so long as it's the last check you need to write. Don't want you bouncing that last check and then needing to write 5 or 10 more years worth of checks.
Right.
So, again, the plan for self-sufficiency so we don't become dependent, I think that one is necessary, and selfless. But the plan not to leave anything behind, I don't think is selfish, if that makes sense.
Sure. I mean, we'd love to leave money behind, but
yeah,
with the cost of everything going up, healthcare going up, everything costing more, it costs more to retire. And so as we move through retirement, as we first retire, we're going to spend more money. We know that because we're going to be doing things. The second phase of retirement, we're going to be going, but not as far or as often. And in that third phase of retirement, we're going to be staying home watching old Westerns and talking about the good old days. And so as long as I have enough money to do that, pay my bills, be able to give my kids birthday gifts on their birthday and Christmas gifts, then I'm happy. I've done my job.
Yep.
But hopefully I've taught them how to have a great retirement. And that's my legacy is that they need to know how to plan and put into effect the same kind of retirement I've had.
Yeah.
Now I got to tell you, I'm having a pretty good one.
Good.
Because between the Harley and the Porsche and all the other toys, I like what I'm doing. And I still work, but I don't kill myself. But I like that. And that's just my retirement. This is where I like to put it.
Well, toys make life enjoyable.
Well, sure. I mean, if you can't play, why be here, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it was Bill Gates who said that he wanted to leave his children enough so that they could do anything, but not so much that they did nothing at all. I think that
Right.
was Bill Gates. But the sentiment is, leaving so much behind, oftentimes we find that people might not be so motivated. There's an old kind of cliche phrase that goes shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations, or there's
Yeah.
nothing but 2 generations between clogs and clogs. Essentially, it's if there's a working class person that does work their way up to financial security and stability and wealth, and then transfers it to the next generation, it's probably only 2 generations before the family is back to working class. And
Right.
I think that's been demonstrated many times with wealthy families.
Yeah, and I think now it might be even 2 years instead of 3 years, because things cost more and it's a lot more expensive to do business. But Peter, I've seen that. I've
Yeah.
actually experienced that. We've had some very good friends who the father, the matriarch, he and his wife produced a great business, had a great income, and then the next generation didn't quite do as well, and then the third generation, they were back, sold the business, they were back working for someone else for wages,
Hmm.
and really wasn't living, wasn't living the same lifestyle.
That's why you brought Blake in early, huh?
I want to train him early. I'm telling you, man. Yeah, we were glad to get him early.
Yeah, good.
And Brent, I mean, Brent's been here, like I said, almost 25 years. Gulf Coast has been 29 years in existence. So Brent's been here the majority of that time, and he's worked his way up, started, and he knows what he's doing.
Well, I think that if you do any kind of research or look things up, you can literally find hundreds of examples of like celebrities, famous people who have passed away, not left their estates in order, left a mess, and therefore, big estate planning mistakes. Their wealth was kind of squandered during the probate process on lawyer fees, lawyer ping pong going back and forth. Arguments within the family, disputes, things could get nasty. I know a local story of a family that owned several car dealerships, and they passed away unexpectedly in an accident when they were traveling, and the children, in order to settle the estate, had to sell the business and then were back working for the people that they sold the car dealerships to. So if things are not in order, John, it can be a big mess, a lot of questions, a lot of confusion, a lot of additional complications. We really need to plan and prepare for all aspects of this and coordinate those plans.
Oh yeah, I mean, we never know when the good Lord's going to call us, and so we have to be ready. That's why.
And you can't do it the day after.
No, you can't. And that's why I tell everybody I meet with, the last question I ask them is, do you have your estate planning documents in place? If something happened to you today, are we able to move everything you've got to the next generation or to your wife without having to go and hire an attorney and go through probate? Because in Florida, probate's not easy. It will take some time. And if it wasn't set up properly and your heirs couldn't get to cash, they might have to sell something of themselves in order to help pay for some of the taxes and some of the things that are going on, borrow money. It's just not right. We need to be ready to go. Let our legacy be that I did planning, I was ready, I had everything in order, and all of my documents were in place. And I guarantee you, I can tell you this right now, Brent and I have met with my attorney. He knows where my documents are. He knows what we've sat down and talked about. This goes to your brother. This goes to you. Everything is spelled out. And that's the way you want it. I mean, you don't want to have a situation where, because of the large estate inheritance tax now, there are no inheritance taxes. I mean, 11 million, 8 or something, maybe.
Right. Yeah. But for the average person, John, I mean, obviously only the very wealthy are going to run into estate inheritance taxes, but there's still going to be a tax on inheritance because the majority of our money these days are in tax-deferred retirement accounts, right?
That's right. And that's why we try to do the Roth planning, the life insurance planning, so that we can get some tax-free money to them for them to either pay the taxes on the rest of the money or to be able to pass that money on tax-free so that they don't have to pay the taxes on it.
And a lot of people had done generational planning. You mentioned it a lot of times. It's the grandchildren, not the children, that ultimately the parents want to, or the saver, wants to pass things off on to the children. Sort of go by the wayside once the grandchildren come around. But that used to be possible as recently as last year. The stretch IRA was the way that most people did that, but now that is gone dead. If you have set plans up with that as the intended vehicle for transfer, or the generational skipping IRA, you've got to revisit those plans.
Yeah, and also if you've got your money going to a trust, you've got to revisit, because if you don't have the right kind of trust, then the trust is going to have to take that money out over 10 years and pay taxes at the trust rate instead of the individual rate, which could be lower. So there's a lot of planning that took place because of that Secure Act in January 1st that took us, kind of blindsided us. So we still needed to do a lot of that before we got sideways with COVID-19.
Sure.
But we need to get back to that. Now we need to start planning.
Yeah. But any plans done before January 1st of 2020 essentially need to be revisited.
Anything you did in 2019 back has got to be reviewed because it could be wrong. And what you thought we had, we don't have anymore. It used to be so easy to leave the money, and then Brent could take it out over his actuarial life, leave it to Blake. Blake could take it out over his actuarial life. It would be great. But the problem is that now we got 10 years. 10 years, we have to take it out. We have to pay the taxes on it unless it goes to a spouse. And then they get the lifetime, but then after that, it goes back to the 10 years.
Now, another factor here that we probably should mention and focus some attention on is that spouse. John, as a lot of people are thinking about their legacy, sometimes the spouse is forgotten about, and there's going to be some financial impacts there as well. I'm sure on the day that we retire, as we've got the largest amount of personal wealth, hopefully, that we've ever been able to accumulate, we may think to ourselves, hey, we're set for our lifetime, but over 20 to 30 years, that account can dwindle down. And when we pass away, streams of income can disappear. Maybe there's healthcare expenses before we go. We really need to make sure that both ourselves and our spouse are taken care of. Again, first things first, the priority of planning ahead of the legacy planning. The spousal income dependency is real.
Oh, it is. And we do plan on that, because you got to remember that it doesn't make any difference whether it's the male or the female or which spouse. Once they die, we lose one Social Security check.
Right.
So we've already probably lost a third of our income right there. To a half. So we have to have a way to make that up. When we do planning here, we plan for the whole marriage, figuring that if one spouse passes away, how long can we sustain the other? And we do our annuities so that they're joint, so that payment continues. We even do it so that long-term care benefit will continue, that if the first spouse hasn't used it all up, the second spouse can then use it.
Well, going from kind of basic to very advanced, there's lots of different ways to set this up and structure it, whether it be the Roth conversions, Roth IRAs, life insurance. What we wanted to accomplish with that stretch IRA still can be accomplished. It's just we need to do it a different way. And there are specific legacy goals which different tools would be utilized to achieve. I mean, all the way from simple basic term life insurance to maybe more advanced bank-owned and stranger-owned life insurance, to family trusts and private foundations. And then there's charitable giving, charitable remainder trust, donor retained, annuity trusts. All of these things are different structures that can help somebody achieve very specific and different goals, not only for passing assets on, but on some level, John, continuing to maintain some element of control over the money that's passed on, correct?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we always want to maintain control as much as we can. We never like to lose control of our money. Even if we do an income annuity, we're going to maintain that we can stop that or start it whenever we want to, and we can take the balance out whenever we want to. We're never going to annuitize an annuity. That's not our philosophy here. But all of the different annuities and all the different planning, the life insurance, and all of the things that we do, depending upon how much we're talking about and how sophisticated the case is, we can really create a lifetime plan with a tremendous legacy left over, depending upon when we start and what we plan. The sooner we start this planning, Peter, as you know, the better the plan's going to be in the end. And it can be as sophisticated or as unsophisticated as the amount of money determines. But certainly, it's better to have some plan than to have no plan.
Well, every step in your financial progress does take careful planning. Having your family protected and benefited and your wishes executed are steps beyond the planning that most do, and can have some additional requirements and complications. But bottom line, everybody will leave some amount of legacy behind. And we want to help you determine that yours is a positive legacy financially and emotionally, and answering many questions and addressing what your intentions are, and then putting that into a specific plan is going to dictate that. And it does take some dedication of time, but if you'd like to get that process started, the team from Gulf Coast Financial Services makes this a complimentary service to listeners to the program. All you need to do is pick up the phone and give a call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. You can also go online to gulfcoastfinancial.net, get started there. Additional resources, tools, and calculators, previous editions of the podcast. We encourage you to like and subscribe and share them with anybody that you know, friends, neighbors, loved ones, family, that would benefit from this information. It is important and deserves some time and attention. No benefit from procrastinating, as John started the program talking about. No downside for placing the call. So get started now. You can also do this with the convenient, the comfort, the safety of technology through virtual meetings. So just start with that old-fashioned phone call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. John, we always appreciate the time, the knowledge, the information that you share with listeners and viewers here on Gulf Coast Financial Services, Gulf Coast Financial Radio.
Thank you, Peter. It's great being here.
The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Kovac Securities, found online at www.kovac. Advisory services are offered through Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc.